What is happening, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you for watching this YouTube channel. My name is Matt. My company is called the DeRosa Group, and we are a real estate investment company that does all kinds of cool real estate education stuff, like my book, Raising Private Capital, and like this YouTube channel. One of real estate outlet that I wanted to throw out there to you guys you might want to consider contributing to is our Mentorship Monday program. All you got to do to contribute to that is just fire an email. It's just that simple. helpme@derosagroup.com. That's helpme@derosagroup.com. DEROSA group.com, and we'll answer your questions right here. Thank you, Ben White. We'll answer your questions right here on our YouTube channel for you and everyone else to learn from. Today, I've got a good friend, as you can tell, already breaking my stones as we start here, Darren Sager. I've known Darren for years, man. Thank you so much for being here, brother.
My pleasure.
Got a lot of BiggerPockets stuff together.
Absolutely.
I believe you've been a guest on my YouTube channel before as well.
I don't believe I have, but
I know. First
time.
Cool.
Virgin experience.
Right. So, Darren is a very successful real estate agent, not just a real estate agent for himself, but he also works with other investors. And you've been a real estate agent for quite a while. And today I want to talk about, and this is for our realtor friends out there, on how realtors can be better agents and support real estate investors on more effectively, right?
Sure.
Because let's face it, a lot of realtors don't really know how to deal with us, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
In fact, I was a real estate investor for more than a decade before I got my license.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. And I mean, I would say probably 97% of the realtors I deal with don't know how to deal with real estate investors. Now, this is a fact for the residential stuff, for like single family home fix and flips, small rentals and stuff like that. The realtors that work on the large commercial stuff, apartment buildings, all they deal with are investors. So they think they know how to deal with investors too. Those folks could use some coaching as well. That we'll save that for another day. But for this conversation, let's talk about the residential grade realtor that's selling the beat up single family home, the small multi, whatever. What are some mistakes that you see these realtors make? Either realtors that you're across the table from, or from your past experience when you're buying properties from them without your license. What are mistakes you see these folks make?
I think most of them, the mistakes that they make are they're really out there just speculating on behalf of the real estate investors.
Yeah.
So they really don't understand numbers, what it actually takes to do the things that the investors are trying to do. Mm-hmm. And that was my initial frustration. So my biggest piece of advice that I would say right from the get-go is to actually do what it is that that they're trying to do, and put yourself in their shoes in some way, shape, or form. Get involved in a project. Yeah. Because again, God bless you, most of them are just going and advising on it, never actually putting their own money into a project.
Right. And I see realtors, abysmal a lot of times underwriting on deals. I've had realtors send me a deal, and you should get the top line income, all the rents coming in, and the only expense they're showing is real estate taxes.
Mortgage and yes, mortgage, insurance, and taxes. There you go. It's
never need to get fixed up. You're self-insured. You'll never need any repair and maintenance. Never have any vacancy.
A vacancy rate? What's a vacancy rate?
Right. Utilities.
CapEx? What's CapEx?
Yeah, no, we don't do any of that. Right.
No, of course
I think that understanding the financials of a real estate transaction are the biggest thing that I said. That's probably, I would agree, one of the biggest mistakes I see realtors make. Another mistake I see realtors make is they are really just driving for the transaction. They'll sell me a deal that clearly does not make sense. It's clearly overpriced. The financials are off. It's not what I told you, but you're still going to send it to me as if it's the best thing since sliced bread, and proud of it. Like, hey, listen, I really think you should look at this, completely overpriced, overexpensed property where, in a rough location, but hey, it's on the MLS, so I can show it to you. Would you like to go see it?
Well, I would probably also say part of the issue is that it's not the center of their attention.
Yes.
So the majority of what it is that they're doing on a consistent basis is working with a residential buyer, and the mindset of a residential buyer is much different than the mindset of an investor. Residential buyers are much more emotional about what it is that they're there to do.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a home and a place that they're going to be there with their family, whereas an investor is looking at the home from a totally different perspective. Yeah. So they always go in with that kind of residential mindset because chances are it's greater than 90% of the transactions that they do. For myself, it's almost 100%.
This is investor work.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's why it frustrates me when I go in and look at listings, even on multifamily, and the way they manipulate numbers and think something is working great when it actually won't work is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So understanding the numbers, getting yourselves into the high, and I think that if you're a realtor and you want to work with real estate investors, run the numbers, put yourself in our shoes. That's number one. I think that realtors could also benefit quite a bit from walking job sites halfway through renovations to understand
without a doubt
what really goes into tearing these places apart and putting them back together. That like, you didn't just clean this up and put a coat of paint on the wall. You actually really tore the place apart and did new plumbing and new electrical and did real work. And this actually costs a lot more than a couple $100.
Actually go and look at the expense of what it is that those things cost, because most of them are out of touch when it comes to that. They don't understand that it's going to cost $20,000-$30,000 to rewire a house.
Right.
They just think it's, after it's behind the wall, they're not.
And if they don't understand, if you don't understand construction costs and what really goes into redeveloping the properties that we redevelop, you may be that realtor that sends your client with pride a fix and flip that's selling for $500,000 as what the asking is, and would with pride tell your client that it would sell for $550 if it were fixed up.
Sure.
And it only needs $80,000 worth of work, right?
Yep.
So
kind of like most wholesalers.
Yeah, right. It sounds like a wholesaler too. Right. It sounds like a wholesaler. Well, that's a whole different day. That's a whole different animal. We can talk. We can throw some rocks at wholesalers too at the end here.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that you would agree, like you're primarily an investor's agent.
Yes.
If not 100% investor's agent. Like how often? I mean, how many? Like, let's think of one of your clients that you've worked with in 2019.
Yep.
Best client. How many transactions did they do with you in 2019?
Two.
Yep. Good. Right. One more than most home buyers are going to do.
Yep.
And that. So as a realtor, you maybe find a client. And there's people out there that are buying quite a bit of properties with their agents and things like that. So if you work, here's the why. If you're a realtor and you work with real estate investors, the why is a real estate investor is the one client you got that's going to give you more business than once every 7 years, and they can give you referrals too. And I get realtors may say, well, the homeowner that bought their property can just refer his brother to me. I get it. They can do that too.
Sure.
Right. And they're relying on that referral. But they're just constantly chasing referrals versus like taking care of their customers who are just going to come back over and over again. Would you agree?
Yeah. But I think that most real estate agents don't realize is really what's coming down the pike when it comes to agency just in general. If you look at who's actually purchasing homes right now in the marketplace, I mean, I think that a lot of agents have a love-hate relationship, let's say, with Zillow, right? But Zillow is there right now in certain markets competing with realtors themselves and out there purchasing homes directly, and not just them, OfferPad and other companies. And now you literally have a collection of institutional buyers that are out there purchasing, and they're going to be utilizing realtors in some way, shape, or form for that. So if realtors aren't aware of what it is on how they evaluate these properties by the numbers, they're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Well, the times are changing, and I believe the real estate industry is one of the few that's left. It still operates as if it is 1980. I mean, with regards to the commission structure. Now, thanks to the MLS, thanks to the internet, thanks for things like Trulia, Zillow, those kinds of stuff, we are in the 21st century with regards to how people are made aware of properties. But I've sold a lot of fix and flips that like we just put on Trulia, and the buyer, like we sold a flip in South Jersey. The buyer literally just had to go and find a local agent to show them the house because they couldn't get in without an agent to bring them in. There's that one little twist right there that has to shift, and realtors are going to really have to change their game up because the days of just making 6% with your eyes closed on a transaction, I believe, are going to change in our lifetime. And I'm talking about in the next couple of years. They're going to change. Don't you agree?
I would probably say that at some point in the future, commission structure may get pressed a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think that there's still a service that realtors still do, and they still do a lot of work if they're a good realtor.
Sure.
That can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, so you're saying that through the awareness that Zillow Zillow and those guys are really trying to, they're not trying to, they are taking realtors out of the equation sometimes.
Well, I would think that, what realtors have at the end of the day is the ability to take Zillow out of the question, and truly out of the question, because if it wasn't for realtors, Zillow would have no inventory for people to come and look at.
I know.
And then overnight, they can literally shut Zillow off.
I still wonder why they haven't done that, because they're seeing what's going on. They're seeing that Zillow
if the writing's not on the wall, and that's why there's a lot of places now where that there's a lot of stuff that's being done off market.
Yep.
Russell Brazil is part of an organization where they were marketing a lot of stuff off property. I'm not exactly sure how it works. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
But there was a group down in the Washington D.C. area that was literally trading homes, agent to agent, but off the general market, because there's a lot of people who don't want to be public about what it is about them buying homes. And now the National Association of Realtors came out and said that every single property has to be on the MLS.
Yeah.
And you have 24 hours to put it on, or you're going to get fined and all that other good stuff. And who are they to say at the end of the day, as much as I'm a member of them, how a homeowner says that their home can be marketed? If you're a public individual, what happen if, Matt, you don't want the world to know that you're selling your house?
Yeah.
All right, or that it's your house for someone in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You want to sell your house, have people through it and everything else like that, but you don't want the general public to know. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
Which is very, very unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate. I think we haven't seen that fully play out yet, because
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays
there's
out.
a lot of people that just want to sell, and if I can get my number, I'll sell. And a lot of times it might not be get me highest and best and final and get me.
That's where all those
tramp 30 people through my house. Right. Yeah. Maybe I just want my number.
Yep.
Maybe that's all it is. So that's interesting. I believe that regardless of whether like realtors, like the commission structure changes or whatever, the real estate world is changing. And I know that you work for a brokerage that really is ahead of the curve with regards to changing the real estate world, and getting away from like the concept of the physical office, and like having to go and look on the glass on the window to see what they have for sale and stuff like that.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit more about the brokerage that you work with and how it's really changing the industry.
I work with EXP Realty. They're the first cloud-based office real estate company, started by Glenn Sanford, who came from Keller Williams. He basically took, I guess in layman's term, kind of the KW model, and eliminated the offices, eliminated the franchises, and decided to give ownership to the agents themselves instead of all the franchisees. So most of us, at least for me, when working in the industry, I never used my Keller Williams office. I would just basically use them to cash checks. But at the end, they never really provided me any leads the entire 8 years that I was there. So I was there basically building someone else's business that I never had ownership for. So, us as realtors were out there and, we're explaining about the benefits of home equity and building equity over time. And yet we're not building equity in the business that we were, sold, that we're going to own our own business when it comes to real estate.
You're creating true ownership, because a lot of people have viewed realtors as, well, you're almost like an independent business owner, because you kind of eat what you kill, so if you sell a lot of properties, you make a lot more money. But you're really not.
You're not at all. All you are is
the old model.
Right. Well, you're a 1099 salesperson is what you are.
Yeah.
And that's
you can make a ton of money as a salesperson,
Right. You can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, the traditional brokerage model, they do whatever they can to possibly help you sell more houses, right? So they will give you all different tools and everything for you to sell more, because at the end they'll make more with. But will they ever give you a way to find a way to retirement? No, they don't talk to you about real estate investing and taking advantage of what it is that you know best, or they're not going to have an equity program unless you go and buy a franchise
or a benefits package, or any of those other kind of things that you can really help you create stability and longevity in your in your life. So good. You've told me a lot about EXP, and I think it's a great organization. So so that's great. Just the real estate world is changing. The brokerage world is changing, and I think that to bring it into a final thought here, guys, is that there are becoming more and more renters in this country. I don't think that the pendulum is going to shift back to pre-08 crash. Or you probably would agree.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in a society with more and more renters, more almost like a European model where there's a lot more.
I was going to say that. I think that's the way that they've kind of forced their hand now, and they want that model. And we could talk about conspiracy theories and all good stuff like that regarding that, but it's kind of unfortunate. But yes, we're becoming much more transient. But I think it also has to do with the American society in general and who we are versus, let's say, the people that come to this country. Americans in general that were raised here, we're not getting married. We're having families that have single parents, and we want more life experiences now versus being in one particular area. So we like the idea of, let's say being in Seattle for 2 years and then going down to San Francisco and then coming to the East Coast, because experiences now seem to be
even
more
if you got kids.
Yes.
Even if you got kids, you can pop around with the kids like that. I know several people that are like literally traveling the country, and moving to different place to place with their kids and really exposing their children to a lot of different things. So as society continues to change, real estate ownership changes as well. The tea leaves are saying that more and more people are going to be leaning towards being renters so they can be more nimble. Conspiracy theories aside, and that. So if that's the case, if society's moving more towards renting, realtors need to support landlords, because landlords are going to be who more and more of home buyers are, and that. So to take it for what it is, realtors, there's still going to be home buyers out there, but if you want to work with someone who can buy 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions a year from you, or even buy a fix and flip, they buy it from you on the buy side, and then they likely, I would hope, would give it to you on the back end as well. And that real estate investors are one of the few out there that can effectively work with you on a regular basis and be true repeat customers. So
absolutely
cool. So Darren, great conversation. Thank you. How do people hear more about you? How do they find you and talk to you more about everything that you got going on?
They can find me at darrensager.exprealty.careers, or they can Google me at BiggerPockets. Just do BiggerPockets Darren Sager.
How you spell that last name?
S as in Sam, A as in Apple, G as in George, E-R.
S-A-G-E-R, Darren Sager. And you can just Google Darren Sager, Darren Sager EXP, or just look up Darren Sager on BiggerPockets. I know you're a regular contributor there as
yes, sir.
Too, so cool. Darren, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much, Darren. I have really good friends and fellow New Jerseyans and that. So
fellow pizza lover.
Yeah, fellow pizza lover. And if you guys are anywhere near New York City, you should check out Darren's event that he has in New York on a regular basis as well. So, Darren, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great, profitable week.